Let's talk some opera now. Fans in Joburg are in for a real treat later this month as Cape Town Opera is bringing Puccini's powerful Tosca to the Nelson Mandela Theatre. Tosca is everything the traditional opera fans, as well as those who are dipping their feet in the genre, will love. Think big casts, big emotions, big productions, and most of all, big voices. And one of those will be award-winning baritone Conroy Scott, who will be taking on the role of the malicious police chief Scott here. And before we chat to him, let's take a listen to what could possibly be on offer.
Un sorso per incorarmi. Quanto? Il prezzo. Ciò mi converrai, donna bella non mi venda. Prezzo di moneta, no, a donna bella, io non mi vendo a prezzo di moneta. Se la giurata fede potrà dire.
I'm sure most people would just want that video to continue and not have to listen to me talk. But anyway, let's speak to the man himself, Conroy Scott, who joins us virtually from Cape Town. Conroy, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm sure this is the better time to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
You look after that voice before the big show starts here in Johannesburg. Now, I'm told that this role in Tosca, I've never seen Tosca live before, but I do know it's one of the classics. This is a role that baritones really look forward to play, one of those that they can sort of sink their teeth into from an operatic point of view, but also from an acting point of view, because don't we all love a good villain or a malicious character? Tell us how you're approaching this role and how excited you are to play it.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me. Secondly, Jano, the challenge with a role like Scarpia is, firstly, there's all the vocal challenges. It is physically and vocally quite a demanding role. So you have to take care of your voice, not only during the actual production, but also during the time leading up to it. And as for the character itself, it's a very complex character, being the resident bad guy, as they would say. You know, there's a lot of thinking that goes into it. What makes the character Scarpia the way he is? What makes him react in certain ways? What holds him, you know, to his methods in interacting with people, with the rest of the characters on stage. So it's quite an interesting role. It does get quite dark at times, and as a performer, as a performing artist, as an actor, if I could put it that way, you've got to sort of guard yourself as well against that, for lack of a better term, against the dark side of portraying a character like this.
Now, Puccini obviously never did anything small. His pieces are always sort of big and out there, and that's why they're so popular with the opera crowd, and also those who don't see themselves as purists as an opera singer. It's a crowd pleaser to a certain extent. Do you think that this marks a sort of a time where we find ourselves post-pandemic, where everything had to be small or everything had to be virtual, that our performing arts, and especially a big performing art like opera, is indeed back? It must feel quite good for you and your colleagues in the industry to be able to sort of flex a little bit and put yourself out there in such a big scale after so much smallness over the last few years.
Marcel, it's a wonderful thing being able to be on stage and being able to perform for a full house again. If memory serves correctly, just a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to perform just toward the end of COVID And as an artist, having to perform in a massive theater for about 28 people, it does become quite disheartening at times. But having a full opera house again, it's wonderful, especially for this opera. It is a wonderful opera composed by Puccini. It has so many elements of real human emotion that it's hard not to love the music of Puccini, and especially Tosca. The music is fantastic. I think a big part, or in my opinion, I might be wrong, but in my opinion, a bigger part of this opera specifically, whether it be the actual voices and the staging and the actual acting, a bigger part of that drama is the orchestra itself, is the orchestration which Puccini had. It is the driving force between the characters in an opera like this. It draws out that raw human emotion from you as a performer, and hopefully also as an audience member coming to watch and enjoy the opera. It really is something special. Puccini knew what he was doing. He definitely knew what he was doing.
Indeed. Let's talk about your personal journey a little bit, Conroy. Now, I really think that as in terms of opera, South Africa really punches above its weight. I think internationally, people must think that opera stars grow like weeds here in South Africa. I've spoken to stars we've got Pretty Yende, who came, I think, from Piet Retief in the Eastern Cape. We've got stars who come out of the choir nursery of the Free State, of the Eastern Cape. And then you come from that nursery of the New Apostolic Church in Cape Town. And when I saw that in your bio, I was like, oh, okay, he's one of those. They've gone through the ranks. We bumped into them at the School of Music at UCT, at the Baxter Theatre, at various opera houses and that kind of thing. Tell us very shortly your story. Started with the New Apostolic Church. You end up at the University of Cape Town. You first studied to become a mechanical engineer, and yet it seems the love of music and opera specifically, you couldn't shake it.
No. So look, Marcel, like you said, now my musical journey started as a young kid in the New Apostolic Church. You learn to play all these different instruments. You start with the recorder, you move on to other instruments, and eventually you join the adult choirs, etc. And as you mentioned, I then, after completing my matric, I went and studied mechanical engineering, and that's the job that I had. I was a mechanical engineer for a good couple of years, up until I just decided one evening, I'm going to pursue my career in opera. What did help is the training that we got in the New Apostolic Church as well, because music is a big part of our church, and for that I'm very, 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 very thankful. Also, what I'm thankful for is the music that I listened to growing up as a kid, the music that I was introduced to through my parents, through family members, through friends and whatever. But also more so was the classical music that always resonated with me. I've always loved classical music. And end of 2004, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to stop working and I'm going to audition for the UCT Opera House, for the opera school. And I did. And fortunately, I was accepted. And, as they say, the rest is history. And it's been a wonderful journey. There are the ups and downs, like you mentioned, COVID being one of the major factors that we had to consider over the last couple of years. But for the arts getting back to what it is now, it serves as encouragement for us as performing artists again. But I mean, me as an opera singer, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Especially this year and last year, I've had the opportunity to perform some wonderful operas. So we all try and do our best so that we are able to keep doing this, that we keep the art alive for as long as we can. And hopefully, youngsters that come up through the ranks, as you said, hopefully they do the same and share the same passion that we do for opera as well, so that we can keep it going. Because a world without opera, I'd like to think, would be quite a sad thing.
Just very quickly, I've run out of time. Just very quickly before I let you go, I know that you also spend quite a bit of time overseas. I would think that's your time where you go and you pay your bills and you go and see the world and find yourself. You were singing Motown music, which I just put on record. Please, will you bring that back and perform in South Africa? Because I'm a massive Motown fan. But for those who are watching now, and they're thinking, we've never watched opera before. Should we go and watch Tosca at the Nelson Mandela Theatre in Johannesburg? Very quickly, what would you say to them?
I would say, please come and watch the show. It is a wonderful experience. The music is fantastic. The sets are amazing. The costumes are amazing. And we have, in my opinion, a world-class cast that is proudly South African, that it is a cast that we can take anywhere across the world and compete on the best stages. It is truly a phenomenal work of music, and along with the direction we get from Magdalene Minnar, the sets that we produced, the costumes, it is genuinely world-class. And I would hope, and I encourage people to come and see the performances. While there are still tickets available, get your ticket before it gets sold out, so that you can also experience what we as performing artists experience when we are on stage.
Okay, Conroy Scott is performing in the powerful Tosca, Puccini's famous Tosca, that's on at the Johannesburg Nelson Mandela Theatre. That's in Braamfontein in Johannesburg from the 21st of July till the 30th of July. I mean, listen to the speaking voice. Surely you want to hear him sing. We thank him so much for his time this morning.